everybody. Welcome to our energy update here live on Facebook for energetically sensitives and empaths for the coming week, September 15th till 21st. The winds have changed. We're getting a little closer to fall now. The hummingbirds are gone, so no reason to complain about the background noise, and winter is coming. Just kidding. So as always, we're going to begin the report here with a reflection of last week. Last week was really tough for many energetically sensitives and empaths around the world, and we're going to look at what we can learn from this and how this may actually affect us in the coming week. New moon energies are coming in, and as you all know, this usually brings in new beginnings, all right, a new future, the opportunity to seed things for the future. And this coming new moon and also the equinox will bring a big opportunity for a new future. So let's talk a little bit about last week. You may all feel a bit exhausted right now. I don't blame you. Even if you personally didn't actually go through a crisis. You know, the thing is, I mentioned this last week, is that we're all connected. So when stuff goes through our media, when a lot of people are in distress, when there's a lot going on social media, and then this is a reflection of what is going on. Now, you may ask yourself, is that what causes people to panic or to go into these places of fear? And this is a really good question that I want to discuss here today in reflection to last week's crisis here in the United States. And that is, what was there first, the chicken or the egg? You know, what is there first? Is the fear there, and then comes the outer crisis that triggers, our inner response to it? Or is it our inner response that may actually trigger the crisis? Knowing, what I know as an energy worker and the way the world displays itself to me on all levels of existence, I'll be honest with you, I can't answer that question. I don't have an answer for that. But I can tell you that we are all constantly connected, no matter whether we are going through an inner or outer crisis at the moment. So the more people around us, and that's, I guess, the question of exposure, the more we will feel this. And energetically sensitives, as you and I, we'll pick up on those things regardless of what is going on in our own lives. And sometimes it's difficult for us to discern whether this is ours or coming from the outside. But in energy work, we really don't care what triggered, what caused what. It's we regard our attachment to cause and causality as part of our ego. Our ego wants to have a reason. It wants to have a cause. It wants to have a scapegoat. It wants to have something that can latch on to. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what was there first. At the end of the day, it's about how we deal with things, how we cope with things. And I know this sounds like a platitude in the face of, like, say, hunkering down in the midst of a hurricane and, not having any water or power for a week with little kids or whatever. I'm not disregarding any of our personal situations here. When someone goes through a crisis, the subjective experience of that is always real and is always severe. So the question is, when there is inner or outer crisis going on, what actually causes us to feel fear, to feel this exhaustion in the aftermath? And right now, a lot of people feel worn down. We feel like really exhausted, even if we had nothing to do with any of the things that were going on here in the States. And we feel like caving in, and we feel like disconnecting, and we don't want to like see what's going on in the world. It's too much. My experience as an energy worker, and again, this also leads me to why I'm doing these energy updates in the first place, is not to predict anything. I'm not a fortune teller. I told you this many times. I'm reflecting on energies that are coming in with these people that actively work with us here, who are all energetically sensitives and empaths like you. And when we go through certain patterns, then we can actually identify them and sort of infer sort of what the majority of us will have to deal with. So it's not that we are causing it. It's just that some of us picking up on these things earlier, or sort of as a preview, and that's then how these energy updates occur. And so reflection, as always, is a very important part. So what happened here last week was that a lot of sort of turmoil, chaos moved in, and it made us all sort of feel like it was two ways that we could perceive this. One was like, oh, I don't have a problem with this. I'm standing over this. I can handle my energies. I'm okay. I'm just isolating myself, or I'm just sort of disconnecting from what is going on out there. And that's something that a lot of us do in crisis, is sort of dissociate from what is going on as a means of coping with it. And I hate to say it, but for many of us, that really is something that worked maybe when we were younger, often in our childhood. If we had to go through crisis there, dissociation was the only way to get through things. But as a mature adult, and with all these intrinsic things that have evolved in our lives, this may not be the right way to get through things. Then there are people who go into the drama immediately and jump on it and use it sort of as another way of disconnecting from their own lives, because it distracts them from their own problems. And so when there's an outer problem going on, then it's like an invitation to not having to care about your own things. But if you actually look at the true purpose of crisis, or chaos, if you will, then you'll find out that it really is in our nature as humans to only grow when we're challenged. And so I'm not really advising you to seek crisis, to seek drama. On the contrary, I'm advising you to actually deal with it consciously and reflect on it within. It is okay if fear gets triggered in you. It is okay if you have these influxes of energies that are coming in from everywhere else around you. It is not the fact that there are these energies around you. It is how you process and how you deal with them inside of you. And if it exhausts you, if you feel like you can't take it anymore, you need to check out, then you need to pay attention. Same with like, oh, this is not affecting me, I'm not in Florida, or I don't live in the United States. Well, if you thought, that you had hit rock bottom, it's not rock bottom yet. The corrective energies that we are going through, that we have been going through for a while now, but that are now converging, as I explained last week, they will come on all different levels. So it's not about just getting through something, surviving something, and it's about how are we managing our energies in those situations? How efficient are we? And if you feel this exhaustion, or even like, oh my God, what is she saying there? There's more to come. I've already had my share. don't take this as a reason to give up. It's a motivation really to see, you know, what else you can improve in your life, to not be too susceptible. I've talked a lot about hi everybody. Thanks for your greetings. Where was I? There are a lot of things that we can learn in exposure, and so exposure is part of our evolutionary process. It's constant exposure, constant feedback, constant self-correction, and constant growth. This is what our ascension process is about. We cannot check out when it gets a little tricky, you know, or when when there's reasons, you know, that make us feel like, oh, this is not mine, you know, I'm just sort of isolating myself from it. We cannot isolate ourselves from all the things that are going on. We're all connected. And I talked about the importance of community, and with that, of course, the relationships that we have, and really to go into this place of self-governing, you know, our own environment, the direct environment that we have, the direct exposure. If you, for instance, listen too much to the news last weekend, you'll probably feel this like really strong burnout right now, you know, because what these news outlets do, and also social medias, is that they rile you up, okay? They rile you up because this is what fixates you on the problem. It fixates you on the screen and makes you keep watching it, all right? This is exposure. So it's nothing wrong with wanting to be informed, but it's another thing if you feel your ego sort of jumping on it and using this sort of as an excuse to not take care, you know, sort of what is going on immediately around you or within you. So if you feel like you've really had your share of say rah-rah, of chaos, then just remember that it is not the outer stuff, it's how your energy handles it. And for next week, the big theme is efficiency, is the practical. I've been announcing this for weeks. We have to learn how to implement all these spiritual insights that we have, and the things that we learn about ourselves. And it is not about just getting through things and then sort of feeling good about yourself that you made it through. It's about implementing all these learning experiences in your life, in your relationships, in your work day, and so forth. So when your energy goes down like it does right now, and just to give you a feedback here, most people are having severe issues with neck, headaches, throat issues. A lot of people were complaining about sinus infections this week, issues with the voice. I had this too, ears and eyes, pressure in the eyes. This is something that we see with energetically sensitive people a lot when there is sort of layers of deception going on. So we respond to crisis, but we respond even more so when something doesn't feel true. It's just that we are not entirely aware of that. So what we are reacting to is not the rah-rah. We are reacting to the stuff that is deceiving us, okay? When you have this, like, the 6th, 5th, 7th chakra pressure on you, this means that there is stuff going on that is distracting you from your inner truth. So use this as a benchmark for the future, that when everything is like here, you know, that you need to seek clarity, you need to seek rest, and really become a little better in your sort of ability to pierce through, you know, the current drama. Next week, we are looking at all this going a little lower here, moving a little lower within our energy body, and affecting and more so our third chakra and our second chakra. So we need to process some of the fear. We need to process some of the emotions and some of the ego stuff that was triggered, some of our coping, some of our control mechanisms. So a big issue this next week, when sort of another wave of correction is going to come in, is how well have we integrated all these residues of fear and pain of the last week. All right, and you'll feel it a lot in your back, in your lower back especially. You'll feel it in your sternum, maybe for some people in the digestive, in the stomach area, and especially in your heart area, in your rib cage and in your lungs. Okay, all this is challenged now because in order to integrate these excess mental energies and emotional energies, we need to be able to pull them into our heart, into the center of our center. And this hurts when there is a lot of deception, when there is a lot of sort of ego coping going on. Then this actually hurts physically, and you can feel this in your heart again. So I really want to make sure that you guys understand that these things that you are going through are not just your own things. This is stuff that is being reported right now from empaths and energetically sensitives all over the world. Emotionally, the biggest issue, of course, is anxiety right now. A lot of people get pulled into anxiety and they don't even know why. It is because you're energetically sensitive. But what does that mean? Does that mean other people have been, yes, this feeling with the heart and solar plexus, this has been coming in for energetically sensitive people in the last couple of days. These are indicators for me for what a lot more people will go through in the next week. And if you had some of your anxiety triggered here, then know that this is partially triggered by the outside. Yes, but you cannot control that. And behind anxiety is that need to fix, to control things so that you can feel safe. It's a solar plexus coping, all right, with the unpredictable or with the fear of the unknown. And this week is asking us seriously to let go of trying to fix things, to let go of trying to control things and of figuring things out. You can't. You will be shown that you can't. There is more to come. There are, of course, earth changes, you know, such as the earthquakes. Keep on getting earthquakes and floods, dams breaking. All right, and more storms. Fires, of course, as well. It's like all the elements right now are converging, you know, to sort of create the optimal circumstances for us to correct and evolve. But also in the financial sector, this is, you know, what we have been experiencing here over the summer was just sort of a little prelude of what is to come. And it is happening right now. You will see big companies make big announcements that are based on their own fears, on their own inability to cope with things, and they'll try to deceive the masses, just as politics, into thinking that certain things are unsafe or certain things are bad for you, okay, just to sort of hang on to these last straws of control. You'll see this everywhere right now. You have to give up control. The teaching here in going to through crisis is that life is not predictable, and as energetically sensitive, you have to learn more evolved, more mature ways of dealing with this. And the way you do this is by looking or by understanding yourselves as an integrative, holistic energy being, okay, composed of your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and etheric energies. You cannot ignore the fact that you are picking up on etheric energies. I talked about this last week in length, you know, why we pick up on these things. You cannot ignore that. So you have to learn how to deal with this. You can't control it. So here within transCODES, one of the healing frequencies that has been coming in very strongly in the last days is serenity. You know, to really give up trying to control things you cannot control and to just focus on the things that you can control. And when it comes to the things that you can control, you know, it always, of course, starts at the base level, at the densest level. That's your physical. That's what you can do for yourself right now to get yourselves into a place of balance and inner peace, inner harmony. That is where it starts. And then when your emotions come up, when your fears come up, to learn how to deal with these things, how to accept them, accepting all emotions as part of the deal. You know, when anger comes up, that's not a negative energy. It can express negatively because most of us haven't really learned healthy ways to expressing anger or fear or control, for that matter, but the emotion itself is not a bad or negative emotion. The emotion is just like all emotions and part of our different energetic frequencies that go through us. So, you know, serenity is a sort of the healing frequency that gets you into that place of like, okay, I'm feeling anger right now. And yes, I can see how maybe this or that triggered it, but that's not the point. The point is, how can you manage your energies? How can you shift out of anger as fast as possible so that you can go back into this hard place of you know, feeling empowered and encouraged enough to deal with whatever the circumstances are. Yes, let me read a question here. Jona, I'm from the UK and I agreed with everything you said last week, and I've been doing intuitively what you advised, somewhat fortunately in alignment. Just finished an energy vibrational meditation and went to make a cup of tea. I love this. I love this. Okay, this is awesome. Hang on a second. I don't know if I pushed the wrong button here. All right. Okay, I hope I'm still live here. I'm not sure. I pushed a button. Something happened. So anyway, that's wonderful. You know, it's just like, okay, you go, you see, okay, what do I need to do physically here? What can I do to create a calm environment for myself? So I take care of my physical safety. I take care of my physical well-being. Then what can I do for my emotional well-being? You know, am I dealing with a lot of fear? All right, how can I help myself to go out of this? Like last week I posted this energy prayer for all of you, which is a vibrational sound healing, which just by listening helps you to shift your energy. Then we have the mental aspects, you know, like where's my mind going? Where is my energy going? Am I thinking too much about the future right now? Am I trying to control things that I cannot control? All right, let go of this. Surrender. What is my spiritual well-being right now? You know, am I afraid that this is the end of the world, that this is sort of the wrath of God, or some kind of doomsday type of thing, you know, that goes along with some of those spiritual beliefs that I have that are really sort of steering me towards helplessness? Then I have to correct that too. That doesn't mean that you know, everything's wrong what I believe. You know, there is no right and wrong, really, guys, when it comes to those kind of things. There's just a matter of like efficiency. Is this actually helping me? Is this empowering me? Is this in line with my high vibratory goals? Does this support my personal evolution? All right, and energetically, for those of you who've had training energetically, you know, like where's my energy going? You know, am I contracting or am I expanding? Can I hold my field? This was the biggest issue last week, was holding our own energy. Staying within our own heart, and see this sort of as a practice, see this as a test, all right, because there's more to come. And this is really what I want to point out here as energy tip for the next week. Learn to hold your energy, because wherever your energy goes, and I'll show this chart with the energy states here in the video, in the edited video when it comes out. Wherever your energy goes, this is how your reality displays itself to you. This is your reality. We call this your energetic reality, that is a reflection of your ego reality. So if your ego reality is in fear, guess what? How you going to perceive your physical reality. You're going to perceive it as fearful, as punitive, as doomsday is coming. The world's going to end. If you see your world, if your energy gets stuck in pain, you see your world as a really painful place. You lose sight of what the purpose is of life. You really don't want to be here anymore, and you feel like a victim and you want to give up. If your energy gets stuck in anger, then your way of perceiving your world is that it's hostile, that everybody's just out there to get you. You get mesmerized, or you get sort of captivated by conspiracy theories, and everything is everybody else's fault, and you get into this like really sort of defensive or aggressive mode and just want to fight everything. And when your energy gets stuck in control, then the world seems like, people are just not getting it. They're like too dumb. I'm much better. You judge everything that you see around you. And yet, secretly, within yourself, you have this like constant critical inner voice bombarding you, how you need to be better, how you need to be more perfect, how you need to, compete or just shove everything out of the way and fix everything. All right, those are the most common sort of lower vibratory states that our energy can get caught in. And this is what energy management is about, to recognize that and to admit it to ourselves. All right, because only when you can admit this to yourself, then you can actually actively shift your energy. As long as you're in your ego illusion that, I'm just sort of disconnecting from it all, I'm just cutting myself off, you're not going to be able to do anything about it, and it will catch up with you. It will blow up in your face. All it takes is a tiny little trigger, and the whole thing is going to blow up. This is sort of where the collective is in right now, and what is coming in very, very strongly right now. And I want you to understand that this is not just some sort of metaphysical concept, a woo-woo concept, is bifurcation. I wrote about it and talked about it many times, and so do other people like myself, who want to get the truth out, who want to help people to navigate through these chaotic times. Bifurcation is a point in time where you are almost like forced to make a decision, forced to make a choice. And depending on your choice, kind of like these rocks of time that I mentioned last time, the world will display to you it will determine how your reality displays itself to you. If you decide that the world is a dangerous place, that there's no point in living, that this is all, a dread, that, that other people are all evil, then you are choosing a reality that will confirm this. And just looking at sort of the overall collective, or the energetic state of the overall collective, this is what the majority of people are choosing right now. It is a level of energy that does not allow to discern truth, that does not allow for being able to sense energetic integrity. But then there's those of us, and this doesn't mean that every energetically sensitive person is able to make the right choices. But since you're listening here, and since you are sort of interested in this kind of subject, it means that you have a prompting within you that wants to show you truth, and the truth comes in through your alignment to your heart, not through your alignment of any outer power that you are externalizing sort of your well-being or your gratification to, which is practically the spiritual definition of ego, is the externalization of our inner power to outer people, to outer energies, entities, relationships, and so forth. It's a proxy, but it means that you're not fully inhabiting your spiritual power. But those of you who understand what I'm talking about here right now, you'll be prompted to go a step further, and you'll be prompted to embrace those chaotic energies, and you'll feel challenged and you'll feel tired, of course, but you will make choices that help you to shift your energy into a higher vibrational state that will provide you with the necessary solutions and fixes, if you will, for each situation as you go through it. And that is sort of the difference between, you know, sort of being caught in this collective group karma that most of us will have to go through, or choosing a higher vibratory alignment that is coming in right now and really sort of pushing you into your future. And bifurcation means is that things are splitting, and that it's almost like there's no it's a point of no return. It's like everything that you do now in these next couple of weeks is going to determine at least the next 3-4 years, how you perceive the next 3-4 years. And this is why I've been pointing this out since the beginning of the year, that this is also a great opportunity. Okay, so when I say dealing with crisis, that is about how you deal with things. Look at where your energy goes and how you make decisions. What are your choices based on? Is it based on truth or not? Is it based on love or the absence of love? Wonderful question here. What is the best way to shift our energies in this time? I made a few examples earlier. It depends on the level on which you encounter them, but for the most part, energy management or energy efficiency really has to do with, number one, acknowledging where you're at. This is where you start, Bill. You start with acknowledging where you're at. If you can feel that you're going into fear, you acknowledge, okay, I'm in fear. You know that fear is not a conducive state for you. And so, you know, instead of trying to make it go away, trying to get rid of it, trying to fix it, trying to cut it out, trying to ignore it, what you do is you go in there and you seek your center. And I made a few examples last time in how to center yourself. Like, the easiest way is to breathe in your center. This is also why I publish these energy prayers, because they help you to do this. And in your center, you will feel sort of, even if it's just the slightest shift, okay, this uplift for a few moments, for a few seconds maybe, or for the rest of your day. And then that changes the perspective. It changes the way you see the world. It may make you angry, for instance, because it's very often, if you look at the chart that I'm going to display here in the video, the next highest resonance after after fear is anger. And so a lot of times what happens with a person when they shift their energy out of fear, they temporarily you know, start seeking for scapegoats, and they start you know, blaming things onto others. This too is a lower vibratory energy, so you got to make sure that you don't get stuck there either, but recognize it as part of your healing process. Okay, at least you got out of fear, you know. That after that, it's usually the control that we all fall for. We feel like, oh, we've got through the worst, you know, I feel so much better now, you know. Oh, look at these other poor bastards, you know, they're still in the middle of their fear and so forth. This is control, specialness, and immediately you'll feel inner doubt coming in. It creeps in as your critical inner voice, and this again here is an indication that you're still not out of the red zone. Okay, you're still in a contractive state. You're just in a slightly higher vibratory state than you were before, so you have to keep going. So the second step to shifting your energy, after acknowledging it, or the third step really, and consciously working on connecting with your own center, is then to keep going. It's a process. It's not an event. You have to keep going. And you will feel this when you come into a place of calm and sort of inner harmony. It's not that the crisis is over, but the way you see the crisis has suddenly shifted. And you feel like more and more like, okay, neutral with what is happening. You feel like, okay, if this is happening, this is fine. If this happens, that's fine too. And you really get into this place of your inner witnesser, rather than being caught in that place of experiencer, where you feel just sort of at the will of outer energies. And when you arrive at that place, this is the place that I call truth. Then you're willing to accept reality as it is. You're willing to accept truth. And that's then what allows you to really work through all or any crisis. The hardest part for us is to understand that it's first of all in the admitting of where our energy goes, and then in the continuous working on it. You know, because when we feel really low, what the problem is that we often don't want to connect. We want to, you know, blame others immediately. We want the drama. We want the victimhood. We want the juice that comes out of feeling out of control, because then we don't have to take responsibility, or whatever the ego payoff is behind that. So part of our spiritual practice really needs to be accepting really where our energy is at a time, and learning that energy management is not some sort of you know, a tool to become enlightened. It's a tool to become more able to deal with anything that happens. And in nature, the ability to deal with any kind of circumstances or conditions is what allows a species to survive, is what allows a species to evolve. Okay. All right, here is another question. I hope this helped. Rachel, sounds like symptoms of grief and anger and fear are the emotions, and are the ones. They are the ones that I've been experiencing last week. So I've been training on a bigger scale. Yes, if you want to see it that way, you know, every condition, every situation that triggers these strong emotions in you, you know, helps you to understand the dynamics of your energies better, and it helps you to learn for you know, to just like evolution in nature does, you know, it forces you to adapt. It forces you to go into your resourcefulness, into your creativity to solve a problem. You cannot control outer circumstances. That is, you know, sort of the big letting go process that we all need to face here. We cannot control this, and we, quite frankly, don't need to. If you get into this place where you say, all right, I'm not going to focus on the outer circumstances here. I'm focusing on my inner processing. I'm focusing on how I can learn how to handle things better. But I have to have this willingness and courage to a degree to be honest with myself. And also to let go of some of the ego juice and some of the coping, you know, some of the addictions that we have developed, the ego addictions that we have developed. So all I'm saying here is, you know, I do forecasts, but I don't do forecasts to scare you or anything. I'm reflecting on energies maybe a couple of days before they come in, just to remind yourself where to go. Because what happens is that when we go low, when we get caught by these waves, these chaotic waves, it's like all our higher spiritual knowing goes out the window. All right, and that's what I'm trying to do here, like a radio tower, to just keep on reminding you. You know, remember your light. Remember that you're an energy being. Remember that you can connect with your heart. Remember that you can shift your energy. Remember that the way you perceive your reality is in your hand, even if you go through a hands-on crisis. Remember that your abilities are limited to the energetic state that you're in. And when you're in a low vibratory state, such as fear or pain or anger, your abilities to solve or to resolve situations are null. You have to raise your vibration first before you can see new solutions. And this is the overall, the bigger scope here, the bigger scale. These corrective energies come in to teach us how to evolve. And if you will, you know, part of where this is coming from here when I say these things is accepting our human nature. Our human nature is, per disposition, that we don't do a thing, we don't change a thing until the pain of our situation becomes bigger than the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown is our ego's biggest attachment. All right, and yes, there's a lot of unknowns right now. Yes, there is a lot of things, okay, that can make us feel scared. So what? I hope that the pain, and I don't mean this in a mean way, I mean this in a heartfelt, loving way. I really hope that the pain of staying where you're at is finally kicking in and reminding you, you know, that you have the power to change things. And it's not about love and light and everything's going to be fine. I pointed this out last time. That wouldn't be practical. I'm talking about energy management here. That is very practical. You know, how do I get out of a crisis? With first shifting my own energy. But in order to shift my energy, I got to acknowledge where I'm at. And oftentimes that also means to acknowledge, you know, some of the hidden parts, some of the inner darkness that we have, some of the shadow aspects that we have. This weekend, we're going to be working on our shadow aspects in conjunction with relationships. Bringing in this whole sort of conglomerate of like, you know, coping mechanisms that we've adapted in the past, and shadow aspects that we have that sort of give us the illusion of control, and how all that is linked into energetic dynamics. So for those of you who are interested in investigating, like say, persistent pattern in your relationships, or in things that keep happening to you in your reality, and check this out. It's shadow work and relationships this weekend here at transCODES. Anybody can participate in those. Those are energy sessions. And afterwards we meet and discuss some of the deeper energetic stuff that was going on there. Next week, and this is going to be my last shout out, here at transCODES, we have the only in-person workshop here in Colorado. It guides a person through these different levels of integration, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and etherically. In 3 days non-stop, we're going to be learning everything we need to know, how to evolve energetically here, how to bring our reality and our ego reality and our energetic reality into congruence. All right, it's going to be non-stop, including live energy sessions, live clearings, exercises. I can't even, I mean, go to the blog and see I've just published the schedule for these 3 days. We have only 3 spots left. So if anybody's considering to come, this is perfect timing. All right. But as far as dealing with your individual circumstances, my tip for next week is be aware of where your energy goes, because this is how your reality is going to display itself to you. This is how you're going to experience your reality. And I'm not saying it is your own fault or anything like this. No, we have a lot of outer stuff that is going on. But we will always have these things. Okay? Observe your own energy, where it goes. And stay in your center. These are the only things that can help you to efficiently manage your energies and maneuver through inner or outer crisis. All right. If there are no specific questions about last week and next week's energies. I wonder, just before I let you go, make a real quick remark about some of the things that are going on in the financial market. I had a lot of questions last week in regards to, like, what do I do with the money that I have sitting on my bank accounts? What can I do to hedge maybe a currency issues and so forth? Where can I park my money? This is not an easy question to answer, and you have heard me talk about cryptocurrencies before, and how I like sort of the decentralization aspect of that, and also sort of the bypassing of these established financial systems. You will see a lot of ups and downs. I said this before, there's a strong volatility there. Because the establishment is starting to realize that there are billions of fees and dollars flowing out of their own system. Okay, there's a massive resistance right now in allowing cryptocurrencies to become a public way to use this as security, or to use this as alternatives. So you're going to see, watch this week at the media, you're going to see a lot of people from big institutions predicting that all of this is going to fall apart, just to distract really from the current state of the looming collapse of our financial structures. All right. This doesn't mean that we're all doomed. It just means that, yes, we're going to go through 3-4 years of crisis here, and things have to restructure. They have to renew. So renewal is a wonderful thing, and how well you're going to be able to maneuver through this has a lot to do with your vibration right now, with your ability to shift your vibration and to get into a place where you can allow your creativity, your resourcefulness to guide you, because that is the one that is going to help you through the crisis. It is not the seriousness, it is not the trying to fix, trying to control, the fire putter outer attitude, or the fighting attitude. It is your ability to play, your ability to know what you need at a certain moment, to know how to go into synergy with others, to become more like a wave rather than a solid particle. And that, you will find that in learning how your energy being works and how it interacts. All right. So happy surfing through the next week's energies. Our next energy update will be live from our workshop, and you will probably see a couple of people running around left and right, maybe even joining us here in our energy update. Who knows? I don't know yet. I'm just going to go with the flow, and I wish you guys a good week, and I hope that you can easily navigate through everything.